Hey y'all, Eric here with another video. So today I was perusing Facebook while I was drinking my coffee and waking up and get my day started. And I saw on the Facebook page a friend of mine put in what she calls finally some good news. And it's regarding the Supreme Court's review of Kim Davis's case to overturn the same-sex marriage ruling 10 years ago. And the good news that she was saying is that the Supreme Court rejects the bid to overturn the same sex marriage ruling. And yes, that is great news. That is great news. And so I am appreciative of that. But let's talk about this for a minute. They were hoping, Kim Davis and her lawyers were hoping that Judge Clarence Thomas and Judge Alito would actually sway other conservative judges to take this up. And to be honest with you, I was expecting it too. And I told my best friend that I was going to make it my mission, if they had taken it up, to do the research and find me a lawyer who would be willing to go the distance with me to overturn Loving v. Virginia, to overturn interracial marriage, if the Supreme Court had taken this case up to overturn same-sex marriage, so that I could hurt the Supreme Court justices' marriages, because several of them on the court have married interracially. And my thinking on that is, why should they be afforded the benefits that come with being able to marry and we can't be? Because as American citizens, all of us were born with those rights. And the true statement in that is that once we decided to come out and recognize our full selves, including being LGBTQ plus queer, society said that we lost that right. Well, that isn't true. So my friends who are married, your marriages are safe for now. But in that Kim Davis herself brought this case all the way up to the Supreme Court. That should be an indication of what we're in for. We can't be asleep. We have to be vigilant. Everybody can't have their eyes on everything at the same time. But we have to pick and choose our battles, and this one was important to me. And so here is the article that I found. It was posted on the Hill. I usually go to the Hill to confirm my information, to verify it, that it's true, rather than some of the legacy media outposts like CNN, ABC, the Wall Street Journal. Particularly with the Wall Street Journal, half the time when I go there, they want you to buy a subscription in order to see the article. And so I usually use The Hill, Politico, Axios, and a couple of others. Or even if some of the political content creators that I follow, I will take their links and vet them out before I put them on my social media platforms. And why would I do that? Because facts matter. And so this article was posted on the Hill's website at 9:31 this morning, saying Supreme Court rejects bid to overturn same-sex marriage ruling. And I hate these autoplay videos. I really do. I really do. The Supreme Court rejected a long-shot effort Monday to overturn its ruling guaranteeing same-sex marriage nationwide, Former Kentucky County Clerk Kim Davis directly asked the justices to overrule the 2015 landmark decision after a jury awarded damages to a couple whom Davis refused to issue a marriage license. The court can and should fix this mistake, her attorneys wrote in court filings. In a brief order, the justices declined to take up Davis's appeal, alongside dozens of other petitions up for consideration at the justices' weekly closed-door conference. There were no noted dissents. Court watchers viewed Davis's appeal as a long-shot effort, but it sparked trepidation among LGBTQ rights groups, since several conservative justices who dissented in the decade-old case remain on the court. They're referring to Justice Clarence Thomas and Justice Alito. Among the refused couples was David Ermold and David Moore, who sued. Davis was found to have violated a judge's order in another case, which required her to keep issuing licenses. Davis was jailed for 5 days. The couple obtained the license, and Kentucky later passed a law enabling clerks to keep their signatures off marriage certificates. But Davis kept fighting in court after the couple won $100,000 in emotional distress damages from a jury, plus $260,000 in attorney's fees. Actually, I'm glad I saw this, because I actually thought she was suing just to get rid of the $100,000, but it's actually a total of $360,000. Primarily, Davis's appeal concerned arguments that she has a private First Amendment religious defense against the award, despite acting as a government official. That right there. A private First Amendment religious defense, despite acting as a government official. And I always have to qualify this when I talk about this, because I am a believer. I don't necessarily like to call myself a Christian. I try to walk that walk, but I can't remember the last time I was actually inside a brick and mortar church. Sometimes I watch a couple of pastors on television on Sundays, where we used to joke when we were kids about Reverend, I'm going to Bedside Baptist Church, where Pastor Pillowcase will give today's sermon. But all joking aside, a person's faith is just that. It's their faith, and it's personal. In any of my jobs that I have ever had, I have never inserted my religion into my job. For one simple reason: the separation of church and state, a tenet which this country's foundation was built on. The separation of church and state. Now, the Bible has been used to justify any number of heinous and horrific things that happen in this country, but that's not the subject of this video. I'm talking about Kim Davis and other people using their religion in a public capacity to refuse something for someone. Now, the reverse is also true. If I were in a position to get married to a same-sex partner, and we were looking around at venues, cake bakeries, musicians, photographers, all of that, and I found one that we were interested in based on their website, their reviews, all that, and they told us that they could not write a contract for us because of their religious beliefs. Me personally, this is transactional. I don't have to, fine, you have a good day. You have a good day. But trust and believe me, word of mouth is powerful. So I would be putting that out there that this um, company refuses to service LGBT patrons. But I wouldn't make a big deal out of it per se, because that is a private business. But to go to the courthouse, where someone works for the government, and if someone works for the government, their paycheck is paid by us, our taxes. Think about that for a minute. Have you ever thought where the money comes from to pay government officials? Mm-hmm. Or anyone that trades publicly on the stock exchange. Again, publicly on the stock exchange. You don't get to insert your religion into your day-to-day at work when you're selling products to the public and your company is a publicly traded company. You don't get to do that. And so while I wasn't in the room and nobody was in the room, I'm pretty sure those things were talked about when it pertains to the law and the way this case was sent up, where the SCOTUS made the decision not to take it up. So yes, hooray. Same-sex marriage is safe. For now. For now. When the Democrats take over the House and the Senate during the midterm elections, yes, I'm manifesting that. One of the first things that they should do is to codify this into law so that it cannot be undone. And that can happen. That can happen. And so we can't just sit on this, because that was a mistake in 2015, from my perspective, when same-sex marriage became the law of the land, and the group that championed that closed up shop because their goal was met. And I said then that that was a mistake. I've since kind of like broadened my view on that. If that was their only intent, then yes. But their resources and their research and all that should have been dispersed to other groups who are talking about employment discrimination for LGBTQ workers, housing discrimination, healthcare discrimination, and so on and so on. Because even at the time, when this was made the law of the land, while the people of this country and the majority of this country agreed with this, and more today than ever before, we were still under attack by our representatives who are supposed to understand that they are there at our behest. Not the president, but our behest. And so I want to remind you that while this is good news, Roe v. Wade was good news. And I'm just going to set that right there and wrap up this video. So when you look at these things and when you hear people talk about these things and you understand that they're coming for you, remember these words. When someone introduces themselves to you, believe them the first time. And as we go into 2026, remember, elections have consequences, but resistance is not futile. I will link this information in the description of the video. Please share this. Other people need to know about this. Just like my friend Melissa said, finally some good news. I'll see you on the next one. Take care.